Hello, hello, hello. My
Mm.
name is Karita Robert Green, and welcome to the Unwrap Your GIFT Podcast, the show where we dance in conversation about all things to do with life, how to find your gifts, and hear stories from inspirational people around the world. You will learn how to celebrate who you truly are, unwrap your gifts, and step into your true, authentic power. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to season 2 of the Unwrap Your Gift podcast. This season is all about legacy. What is your legacy? Thank you to everybody for joining today. I am so excited to have you. Today we are joined by the amazing Sofia Von Celsing. Yay!
Hey.
I'm just going to share a bit of information about Sofia and then we're going to start the interview. Sofia is an international coach and wellbeing specialist for women leaders. She has extensive experience from HR, startups, project management, yoga, and mindfulness, as well as a master's degree in business administration. After going through a severe burnout, she eventually changed career and left the corporate world to start her own business. Now she supports high-achieving women leaders to reduce stress and build greater capacity to increase their presence and advance their careers. Sofia is also the host of the podcast Unleash the Badass Within. Woohoo!
Wow.
Welcome.
Thank you for that amazing intro.
You're welcome. I love it. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. So would you like to share your journey so far? Just introduce yourself and share your journey so far. How did you get here?
Wow. Yeah, my journey so far. So, yeah, it depends how far I should go back. But so like I said, my background is within business administration and marketing. So I came from that side, going into my first couple of jobs were within marketing and HR. And I absolutely loved that world. I ended up working at startups and scale-ups, such as Spotify and other health startups. And I had so much fun, but I also burned the most important budget I had, which was my own health.
Wow.
Yeah, that was actually a quote by my manager. He said, Sofia, you did burn your most important budget, and that was your own health. And I was only 27 at the time. And it took me a long time to come back. But eventually, that's what led me to also pivot my career later to become a coach and mindfulness teacher. To support others to not end up where I did, or if they're there, to help them to get out of it. Because I really believe that, life should be about thriving, not just surviving. And so many of us, especially women, walk around with symptoms of stress and exhaustion or depression or anxiety, not really knowing what to do, and maybe thinking that this is normal, that life is like this, but it's not, and it doesn't have to be like that. So I'm really dedicated now to supporting these amazing, smart, ambitious, hardworking women to thrive and to, be able to excel in all areas of their lives.
Wow. That is awesome. Awesome. We're going to unpick some of that as we go along, because what you just shared is just such an amazing journey, and just being so young and in the corporate world, like many of us are, and then thinking that you're at that level of success and then all of a sudden experiencing burnout. Like, what was that like for you? Because I'm sure many of our listeners today can relate to experiencing something similar.
Yeah, unfortunately. And like you said, I was really young when it happened. Now it's actually in October, it's 10 years ago. So it's, it's been some years since then. But I would say that, when I was in the middle of it, of course, it was a bit of hell, to be honest. I would say there were so many years leading up to that. You don't burn out just like that. There are many factors, and for everyone, it's usually pretty unique, what are the factors that lead up to it. But for me, it started with sleeping problems. So I had sleeping problems for many years, already from when I studied at uni. And then I just kept on pushing and pushing and pushing, working really hard, partying hard, not being able to, slow down, listen to my body. I just kind of saw these symptoms as normal. They got normalized, as they do usually. And eventually I just couldn't push, anymore. I had a big project and that I was project managing. And when that was finished, I just collapsed. And, at the age of 27, I had just started my career. It was really early. But then, like I said, it wasn't overnight. It was a long period leading up to it. Just also, exercising way too much, never getting any time for recovery. So it was hard. Of course, it was really hard. And then kind of I listened to, other of your episodes, and this would tying, your identity to your workplace. And I was Sofia at Spotify, that was there when I burned out. And I just loved that job to bits. Love the workplace, love my manager, my team. It was just, me not being able to say no, set boundaries, and take care of myself, basically.
Wow, you raised such an important point about you work so hard through uni, if you've gone to uni, looking at these big companies and thinking, when I get there, everything's going to be okay. Life is just going to be perfect. There's going to be birds in the trees singing and everything's going to be fun. We work so hard to prove that we're good at what we do. We can do this. We're here. And on the outside, everybody's saying, look at how amazing it is for you. You work there. Wow.
Yeah. And I was feeling like shit. I was really had loads of imposter syndrome, self-doubt, just never feeling good enough. Always comparing with my super smart colleagues, this classical thing when you end up in the company with so many other high achievers. And just comparing and thinking that everyone else was so much smarter. And what am I doing here? When am I going to be found out? The classical imposter syndrome. And all of that self-doubt, just made me push even harder. And then constant, anxiety and stress, which just fueled everything. And then lots of coffee and exercise on top of that, which just made it... the sleeping problems just totally spiraled into craziness.
And it's in those moments that it can feel sometimes embarrassing to say that you're not happy, because people who are not there, they don't understand. They're like, what do you mean you're not happy? You work at blah, blah, and so that could be quite an isolating thing as well to experience as well, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. But I also think I didn't realize how bad it was. Also because I had so much fun. And I think that's a big, big part of it, that I didn't realize that fun things also use up your energy. And, when I was engaged, in loads of activities, also outside organizations, like outside work, and with this alumni organization, there was just so many things going on at the same time. And it was just fun. I was single. I had just, there was no one that, reminded me to go home in time. I could just, work basically until I dropped. And everything was so much fun. So I think that's a danger, even if it's, obviously positive, it's still a danger, because when we're in that environment that's just so inspiring, so motivating, with all of these amazing colleagues that you love hanging out with, and then you just forget that you actually do need to recover in some way. So that was a big part of it.
Yeah, it's easy to go unnoticed that there's a problem.
Yeah. And my manager, he was saying, why didn't you never say anything? I'm like, I probably tried in some way to say, like, I have way too much to do, but also everyone had way too much to do at Spotify and at these kind of companies. Like, everyone worked super hard. And it's just hard also to understand, in hindsight, yes, I saw all of these signs from early on, but I didn't really realize how bad it actually could get if I didn't pay attention to them or take it seriously.
Wow. So for we've got quite a lot of corporate people that work in corporate, entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast. So what advice do you have, or any tips do you have for somebody who's at the height of their career potentially, and they might be feeling strains of burnout, but they're not quite sure? What is it that they should be looking out for?
Yeah, it's funny that you say. I actually released a new podcast episode today on how to know when to pull the brake.
Oh,
Yeah, which is all about that, actually. It's about, or actually starting with the physical and the mental symptoms of, or emotional symptoms of exhaustion or chronic stress. And then I will go into cognitive symptoms next week. So that they can check out. But
let's slow down. Let's pick up your podcast, Unleash the Badass Within, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's available on all platforms.
Amazing.
And yeah, so I mean, sleeping problems is a big one. I would say it's very, very rare that people on the verge of burnout are not having some kind of sleeping problems. And the thing is that it doesn't need to be that you have insomnia. It can be that you sleep for 10 to 12 hours a night, but you never feel rested. So it's like your sleep is disturbed, or you don't get any quality sleep. So that can be a sign. So even if you're sleeping a lot, but you don't get any recovery from it, that's definitely a sign. Or just that you have insomnia, you can't fall asleep, or you wake up frequently during the night with maybe a pounding heart and just, racing thoughts. So that was the case for me for many years leading up to this. And then dizziness, like feeling dizzy. I was feverish for 2 years. I had small fever, and no one really understood what that was. I was just, thinking too much. I had tension headaches, but also migraines is something that's very common. And then, of course, all of the emotional symptoms, like you have mood swings. It's easy to start, crying. You feel irritability. You snap at people, maybe your partner, your kids, your colleagues. Just this general feeling of overwhelm, panic attacks, anxiety. There are just so many signs. Depression, that sometimes it comes, screaming at us, and sometimes it's more subtle. Low libido, definitely a sign for many women. And it's just, all of this. And then if you would go into the cognitive symptoms, there are so many, like memory loss, not being able to make decisions, feeling this, also this overwhelm that you can't focus, you can't solve complex problems. They're just, many symptoms of on all different levels.
This is just a few. You don't have to reel off the whole.
This is just a few. Exactly. That's just a few. But there are definitely warning signs. The body will try to tell us early if we are pushing too hard. And stress is not dangerous in itself, but chronic stress without recovery is.
Yes.
So when we don't pay attention and we keep on pushing for too long, our body will start to signal to us that, okay, you need to slow down. You need to take care of yourself and get those stress levels down. Because otherwise it's like, the body, it can't tell a difference if we are being chased by a lion, or if we just have 10 deadlines tomorrow, or an overflowing inbox. So it's the same kind of stress response that happens in the body and the brain, no matter the cause. And it's just to, signal to ourselves and our body that no lion is chasing you. And but if we've been in that state for too long, the fight and flight, it just gets triggered. And that's when we start noticing all of these symptoms.
Wow. So if anyone's out there thinking, you've ticked 1, you've ticked 2, you've ticked 3,
Yeah, you need to pay attention, and you need to seek support, especially if you've been going with those symptoms for a long time. Maybe months or years.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do people do when they've said, oh my gosh, that's me, you're talking about me? What's some help that they can do to try and get control back? You've mentioned some support. What other ways can people start to take control back post burnout?
You mean, the thing is that burnout in itself, I mean, that's a very serious state. Sometimes we use the word burnout in a bit, maybe a bit too relaxed, but proper burnout, that's really serious. I would say, you know, leading up, you have stress, and then maybe you're exhausted, and then burnout is like the last stage where you're like totally off the charts, just, you know, like a piece of just got a piece of meat. No, but you're just like, you know, totally a wreck.
Yeah.
So I would say if you start experiencing symptoms of stress, like for example, you start noticing that your sleep gets disturbed, or you have more anxiety, or you feel irritable, all of these things, then definitely, you know, pull the brake, slow down, look over your life and see what am I doing right now? And for how long has this been going on? And see how can you squeeze in some kind of recovery. You know, basically just look over your life and see what are the reasons for me feeling like this right now. Because it can be, you know, physical circumstances, mental circumstances, you know, our thoughts that creates the feelings of overwhelm, imposter, all of these things. Or, you know, really serious life happenings maybe happening in your life right now. And just look over what are the reasons for me feeling like this. Or maybe you have a very toxic boss, or, you know, a toxic work environment. And then, but if it's been going on for longer, then you really need to, you know, seek support. And that can be going to a doctor or a therapist or a coach like me, like specialized in working with this. Because the longer people push with symptoms, the longer it takes to recover. It's really exponential. That say you start with symptoms, and then you keep on pushing, the symptoms gets more and more serious. It's exponential how long the recovery is if you've been going with the symptoms for a long time. So really to pull the brake as early as you can. Sorry, what was the question? What they should do? Yeah, but then really see how they can kind of interrupt the pattern of just being in this hamster wheel, and just seeing where can they squeeze in recovery. And that's exactly what I do with my clients, that we look over their lives and just see where is it possible to squeeze in recovery. Because the women I work with, they are very, you know, they have loads to do, but there are moments in their life too where they can squeeze in recovery and, you know, take away stuff, say no to stuff, set boundaries. There's so much more that we can work with than what people think.
Yeah.
And then, of course, our mindset and our thoughts around the stuff that is going on, because we create our reality, you know, with our thoughts. You know all about this. You're all about, you know, thoughts and mindset. Absolutely. And working with that is a huge part.
So just slow down, take a look at your thoughts. How are you speaking to yourself? What's going on in your environment? How long has it been going on? And what are you going to do about it? Exactly.
And not just keep on pushing. That's the worst thing you can do. Keep on pushing if you're experiencing that. Because if we push for too long, then people can end up like I did, and it took me years to come back. And that's just, so the earlier we pay attention to it and just make changes, the better. Absolutely. Wow. And now you're out there in the world teaching other women how to avoid or really combat some of this stress and burnout that they may experience. Yep. So this exactly. Podcast, this is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that so far. And this podcast is all about legacy. In season 2, we're talking about legacy. What is it that you want to leave in the world? What do you want to be known for? So what would you say is your legacy that you would love to be known for? Wow. Yeah, I think this really with, you know, making high performance sustainable. That to see that, yes, it's possible to perform at a high level without killing yourself. And it is possible, you know, but it's just it takes work, but it's possible. So I think that's definitely a message I want to send out there. But also, I think the work that I do with my clients and just seeing how they shine and how they make changes in their lives and just come back to the badass version of themselves that they are. But I think that's all what I love about the name also my podcast, Unleash the Badass Within, that I believe that we all have a badass version of us, but we might not be able to express it because we are full of stress, of anxiety, of imposter syndrome, low confidence, low self-esteem. But to be able to support women to get that badass out and show it to the world, and just to dare to go after their dreams and to feel awesome doing so. I think that's definitely a legacy I want to leave behind.
Unleash your badass.
Yeah, and I realized that I have a few passions, but sustainability is one, diversity is one, equality. And that's when I realized when I get to work with high achieving women leaders, I actually get to tap into all of these things. That to make, life and career sustainable. I also, very passionate about environmental sustainability and like the world and the climate. But for these people to find their own personal sustainability, because that will make them better leaders. And they have the capacity to stay in leadership. Because it's so important. We need more women in leadership, but so many are leaving leadership because it's just too hard, and it takes too big of a toll on their personal life and their health. And if I can support those women to find that sustainability in their lives, they can stay in leadership. And we need so many more women, high up there on those positions. So that's probably another legacy.
Yeah, I love it. Sustainable leadership. Wow.
Yeah.
And I love the way that it's impacting equality, diversity, sustainable leadership. It's all about empowering people to really unleash their badass and sustain them. There's no point in being high performing if you're burnt out.
No one is going to thank you. That's the thing. Like, no one called me when I was laying there, 27 years old, on the sofa, not being able to get up. No one called me and said, thank you for all of the hard work. Thank you for all of your overtime. Thank you for not sleeping. Thank you for pushing yourself. No one said that. That's the thing. So sometimes we keep on pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. For what?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you. I know, I get goosebumps when I hear that. It's by Katie Reed. And I just, every time I see that, I just it hits me. Because it's true that if we manage to take care of ourselves too, we have so much more to give to the world. Otherwise, yeah. We cannot pour from an empty cup. So if we keep on filling up our own cup, we have more to give, to the world and to others.
Absolutely. So really taking care of yourself as an act of self-love and care so that you can pour into others and help other people.
Yeah, you will be a better, mother, leader, sister, co-worker, partner, and obviously you have lots of men listening too, even if women are my target group or that I work with, my clients. But it goes the same for all the amazing men out there, that they can be better fathers and sons and partners and all of this too.
Yes, it really, the whole concept of self-love and self-care goes across every race, gender, disability, ability, and it's just important. So I really got that message from what you stand for, which is very powerful. And as many people who listen to us regularly know, this is all about empowering people to unwrap their gifts so that they can step into their power. And one of the
I love that.
One of the questions I love to ask our guests is, what is one of your gifts?
I believe that one of my gifts is to support others also. I mean, a bit like you do, support others to see their zone of genius. And I choose to call it zone of genius, but it's really, what you are meant to do in this world, and to make them believe in themselves. Because I also see so many, especially high achieving women with self-doubt, low confidence, but to support them to find what it is that they're truly passionate about and daring to go after it. Because I really see that's also key to high sustainable performance, is to work within your zone of genius. Because if we're constantly working in something that we either not awesome at, we're not passionate about, that's not going to be sustainable long term. But to support people to really find that, and I think that's what makes it. That's why I love what I do, because I believe that I'm working within my zone of genius, is to support others to find that, and to believe in themselves, and to find these ways of introducing smart habits and taking care of themselves, and get that badass out.
Wow. I love it. And as we're talking about women here as well, because that's your audience a lot of the time. There's multiple things that they tend to balance, sometimes work, family. What would you say to women who are in those situations that might, I know you're a mum as well yourself, so what would you say in that capacity when you're balancing loads of things? How do you keep that focus on what you're doing?
I think it's about it. It also goes back to values, like to seeing the big picture, and to seeing what's truly important to you, and also acknowledging that we can't have 10 out of 10 on every single area of our lives. Like, I think when we try to do that, that's also when we burn out. And unfortunately, sometimes, like, some things got to give. And that's the bitter truth, that if one of your values is that I want to be, a really present mom with my kids and always being there for them, if that's one of your values, it will be hard to combine with working 80 hours a week. So I think that's one thing, to know your values, knowing what is truly important to you, and to see which areas can I maybe tune down my ambition in a bit, and which areas do I want to tune up the ambition. Because when we try to be everything for everyone at the same time, that's usually when the house of cards collapse.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, that so many women, they have so high expectations on themselves, that they should be the perfect mom and the perfect partner and the perfect co-worker and manager and friend and sister and daughter. And that's kind of to see your life as a whole and see, okay, which are the most important things right now, and what can I let go of? What will I just decide to not prioritize at all right now? And to see, and it comes and goes, sometimes it might be a bit more focus on work. Like right now, you want to put in an extra, extra acceleration on your career. And then something else might have to step back a bit. Or sometimes it's more like family focus, maybe on, maternity leave or something like that. And then to see, okay, this is now where I'm dedicating most of my energy. But to see what levels, what bar do I put up for myself on each of these areas? Because usually the problem is, if we put it too high up in every single area, that's when it gets tricky. So I would say that's one thing. And to choosing, I think also one thing is, if you find and work within what I call the zone of genius, things also get easier. You feel better. You can perform at a higher level, because that's kind of, working with you, not against you. So you get to shape your own, maybe the way you work, like I do right now. I get to shape the way I work. I work from home. I'm very flexible. That's a choice that I made to be able to fit in some of my other values, which is, yes, also spending time with my kids, being outside a lot. I choose that, okay, I get to design my life this way. But for someone else, it might be something else that's important. And then, okay, how do you design your life around what's truly important to you? So that would probably be some of my answers.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Really knowing yourself. And
it's not one formula.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important when I work with my clients that we look at their lives and all of the aspects and see, okay, how would you like to live your life? What's truly important? What's your ambition? What are your goals within this area and this area and this area? And then to see, okay, how do we fit this puzzle together without you crashing?
Wow. You've already started to touch on it. What are you working on now? What do you do with your clients? Share a bit more about your current work.
Yeah, so right now my program is called Unleash the Baddest Within, same as my podcast. Yeah, and I just like that because before I had another name of my program, but then I realized like that's what's happening. That I see time and time again that my clients, they just start shining. They might come to me and they're feeling like shit, and then we work together for 4 to 6 months or even a year. I have many clients that keep on staying with me after the program is finished and just continue, which is amazing. I love that. But usually what we do during these, say the first 4 months, like we really look at what is, where are they right now? And obviously, where would you like to be? And then we make an action plan and look at, a lot is about, also looking at the underlying reasons for maybe ending up in a burnout or wherever they are right now in life. I have also many clients that, are not there. Maybe they've been there or they were on the way there, but we managed to break, or they managed to break in time. But to look at the thoughts, to look at the saboteurs that, from the work of positive intelligence that I incorporate in my coaching programs. But that's all about seeing the underlying reasons for pushing yourself so hard, or seeing your inner critic and what is she or he saying to you that make you do these things. And it's usually, the one with the whip that just, makes you work so hard. And to understand those voices and to learn how to work, with them in a compassionate way, but also to change the narrative of what they're saying. So it's a lot about the inner work, understanding where it comes from, and then what they should do differently in each situation, and also continue to build a lot on smart habits for recovery and rest and sleep. And really looking at their life from a holistic perspective, because it's like everyone is unique. So it's really to, tailor make the program depending on their needs. For someone, it's like their sleep is totally out of whack. Then we need to focus on that first. And then after that comes maybe, okay, how can we continue to get more rest in your life? And then maybe it comes more mindset work, and then other habits. And then they look at career progression or promotion, or they look at changing career. Okay, what could that look like? Looking at their zone of genius. What could you been doing instead? So it's really looking at all of these topics and making putting the pieces of the puzzle together to see how they would love their life to look. And then supporting them to get there and take the actions, with a loving accountability, loving kick in the butt sometimes, basically being there as a support system. So it's amazing to see. And many of my clients have actually decided to start their own companies. 3 of them have now decided to become coaches, which is so much fun. I love that. and just, seeing what's possible.
I love that. A loving kick in the butt.
Yeah, because this accountability, that's a and support system, that's usually what we need. I mean, I need it too. I have my coaches. I will always work with a coach. And it's something that, a space where you can be vulnerable. Also, it's something that not everyone has, where you can admit that, oh, all of these thoughts are running in my head and it makes me crazy. Or I feel like imposter. I'm afraid that someone is going to find out that I don't know anything in my work, or I have no idea what to do now. Just to have also that sounding partner where it's a safe space to ventilate all of these things.
I love it. That's so exciting. Do you have anything coming up to share with the audience? I know you're based in Sweden. Anything coming up?
Yeah. So for the women based in Stockholm listening to this, I don't know how many there are, but I definitely have. I started something before summer that I called Badass Women's Breakfast Club, which was so much fun. So I'm definitely going to continue with that. So there will be one coming up in September. I haven't set the date yet, but you can stay tuned for more info. So that will be, my goal is to do it a couple of times per year, and do some kind of lecture or talk or, workshop during that time, but also create space for other, for women to meet. Like other high achieving women leaders to meet in a space where they can share, be vulnerable, support each other, network, boost. Already from the first workshop that we had in June, I saw so many things coming out of it. They went and had lunch with each other, and they, did other networking things together, invited each other to, some yoga session and all of these things just from meeting. So I think that's going to be super exciting. And then obviously the podcast that's coming out every week. That's something that I'm just super happy about and passionate about. And then I will see. I'm sure I will do webinars and just continue, with my one-to-one program. Maybe there would be a group program in the future.
Amazing. Lots to look forward to, which is great. And we're just wrapping up soon, but I always like to ask our guests, what would you say is one of your favorite quotes?
Yeah, I think it would probably be the one that I just mentioned, that self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you. Yeah. I just find it's so powerful, and it's so deep, because it's so true. That's what it's about.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much, Sofia. How would people stay in contact with you? Let everyone know how they can stay in contact with you.
Yeah, they can either contact me through LinkedIn, or follow me on LinkedIn, or Instagram, or my website, sofiavonCelsing.com. And of course, tune into my podcast, Unleash the Badass Within. I would love to hear also from the people listening to this and what they take away. And I'm just also, super curious to hear how people are doing, and maybe share their tips and tricks on, their ways to stay healthy and thriving in this crazy world we live in. That's always something I'm interested in.
Thank you so much. You have been amazing as a guest today. Thank you to everybody for listening. I appreciate you. I acknowledge you. Any final thoughts before we close today?
I just want to say thank you to you. I think the work you do is truly amazing, and you are such an inspiring force of nature. And I just have loved getting to know you, the past, we've been in each other's networks for now over a year, like a year and a half, almost.
Maybe 2 years, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe 2 years. And so thank you for all the work you do, and for also supporting to bring out people's gifts to the world. And that's truly one of your gifts, to see those gifts in others and help them to bring it out. So Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's been a joy. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, same. We can continue talking for hours and hours. Yeah.
Oh dear, but thank you so much. What beautiful words. And everybody remember to subscribe to our YouTubes, check Sofia out. And then also remember that we are all born with a gift. And we all have special skills, talents, and gifts that we can use to be successful. I nearly forgot what I was saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now's the time to unwrap your gifts. Have an amazing day and see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.